there's a new product on the market, or for pre-order now, the Analogue 3D.
So that is Analogue's answer to the Nintendo 64.
Yes.
So it's hardware emulation that, it upscales it to 4K? Is that what it is?
Yeah, my understanding is that the 4K-ness of it all is more branding than anything else. But yeah, it's or maybe, the reason to brand it as 4K is that a lot of people have 4K televisions. Ergo, it's a way of signaling to the consumer, like, you can connect this to your modern television, because most people would be skeptical that, like, N64 on my 4K television. There's a Sega one like that. There's a SNES one like that.
Obviously, the Analog Pocket.
Yeah.
And so this is the logical next step. Tackle the N64, which is, most people think is like hard to emulate. Just recently, there's been FPGA cores that you can use on your Mister products. But yeah, so they're stepping in and they are releasing it with a controller. It's an 8-bit Nintendo 64 Bluetooth controller, which goes with the system. We have these dongles for the N64, the blue retro. You can connect it to these, because it's not like some of the other ones where they have like a 2.4. So this is my NES one right here. It's a 2.4 gigahertz wireless adapter that goes in there.
And the controller ports on the Analogue 3D will be the N64 port?
Yeah, it will be the N64 port. But the I believe the controller, the 8-bit controllers will connect to it via Bluetooth, and you don't need like an adapter or anything. But if you did want to use it with your N64, you could get an adapter.
But the sell, right, is here's a clone system with FPGA hardware emulation that will connect HDMI to a modern television, and you can play your original cartridges in it. You can use a modern controller if you wish, or you can use an original controller if you wish. For $250, and I want to say that the controller is, 50, 60, something like that, 60, I think, the 8-bit one, something like that. Why would somebody buy this at this point is a good question. I guess if you don't have a PC situation set up, or you never quite cracked software emulation for N64, or if you reject software emulation in general, which there's people out there that are like FPGA every time all the way. Or
maybe you even have a Nintendo 64, but you want something that connects to your modern TV seamlessly. Like, you could get a RetroTink 4K, but those are like $500, $600, $700.
Yeah, I'd way sooner get this.
So this is something that you can get for $250, connects to your modern TV, it plays your carts. I believe it can also play an EverDrive too, I'm sure.
Yeah, they all can. I remember the first person that I saw do that was John. He had an analog SNES with his SD to SNES before it was the FX Pack Pro or whatever it is now. And I was like, wow, that's a pretty premium situation. Like, for a guy who loves SNES, that sure makes sense. There's no way I was going to buy this. I've got my N64 upstairs. It's connected to the CRT. It's got the EverDrive. I've got a wireless controller situation. I got the NSO controller. I felt pretty solid on N64, but I do like the N64. We've talked about it at length in the past. And down here in this room, I've got this, the 65-inch television, and I've only got a couple of systems hooked up to it. Really, almost primarily is the Xbox One, and that's kind of it. I've got a Retron 5. I've got a Wii, which looks like hell on this thing. But so I was like, it might be a good addition for downstairs for some N64, upscaled. And then you might say, well, Switch, right? Like, Switch has got you covered. It's got your Mario 64s, your Ocarinas, your Majora's Masks, it's got the rare games, GoldenEye, Banjo-Kazooie. It's even got Jet Force Gemini. It's even got, I think, Mystic War. It's got, a lot of games. It's got Sin and Punishment. It's got... They've got you covered. But they don't have Shadows of the Empire.
No.
They don't have Rogue Squadron.
Yeah.
They don't have Diddy Kong Racing. No. They don't have, what else? Chef's Love Shack.
No, they don't. They don't have that.
There's an N64 library pushed to the margins.
Yeah.
And that 8-bit DOE controller is pretty sexy. I have to say, 8-bit DOE, they always get me. Although, did you see that Ambernick has thrown their hat in the ring of controllers?
Yeah, they made like a cheap version because it seems like it uses some of the rest from Retro Game Cores. Like they must like have licensed the same molds or something because they're exactly the same shape. Exactly.
Yeah, he says it's the same controller for less.
Yeah. But it does feel a little cheaper. It doesn't have as many features, but if you're looking for a similar controller for cheap, you might as well try it.
I think of this all as niche demographic marketing. Like this is all for us.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I don't know. Wouldn't you say like late 30s or 30s, maybe like
Absolutely.
people still playing a lot of retro games, maybe primarily retro games, who have retro game setups, who
have a disposable income.
Yeah.
Now
a little
that they're
more
older.
disposable income. So like to be like, well, I'm going to try to market to the people who can only afford a $20 controller as opposed to a $40 controller. It's like, I don't know. Like I want, maybe that's like an unsatisfied market right now, but like my instinct is no. Much like the arcade 1-ups were kind of like, they don't really sell very well anymore because everybody who wanted one got one.
Yes, exactly.
It was a limited market.
But yeah, I probably won't get one because I already have my like RGB modded N64 connected to the RetroTink 4K. So I've already spent the money to do upscaled N64. So it's probably not in my future, but I can for that price point, $250 is I think is a good price point. I think that especially if you're a fan of the system.
Zelda's great, Turok 2, South Park would be fine. How about Rogue Squadron? That game should be mine.
Subscribe to Red Cow Entertainment on Patreon for full episodes every other week.